Rabbi Nachman teaches an amazing thing of a person. When a person wants to serve God, wants to get close to God, it's all about just the moment. He needs to look at just where he is, regardless to where he is and where he's holding spiritually and what he feels like. How do I serve God from where I am right now? So many people are so far because they feel like, there's all these standards that they need to be on in order to serve God. This is what they're taught, in yeshiva. This is what they're taught from their parents when they're young, that in order to get close to God, you have to do this whole list of things that you have to do. But Reb Nachman teaches an amazing secret. It's such a simple thing, but it's a deep, deep secret, because it's so, so deep that you can serve Hashem from wherever you are. Doesn't matter what you did 1 second ago, 1 minute ago. It doesn't matter what you're going to do in a minute from now. If suddenly you got a little awakening to serve Hashem, to get close to Hashem, to do something, it doesn't matter what it is. A person could drive to a restaurant on Shabbos and go and eat at a non-kosher restaurant, and he could wash his hands, and when he washes his hands, he can say a bracha, he can say a blessing. When he eats the food, he can say a blessing. How you say a blessing? The Yetzirah comes this way. You just drove on Shabbos, you came over here in a car on Shabbos, you're eating in a non-kosher restaurant, and now what? You're blessing before Hashem? Yeah, right now I can bless before Hashem. You can, if you get an awakening, no matter where you are, no matter what you did before, no matter what you're going to do after. If a person, sometimes the Yetzirah comes before you and tells you how you're going to serve Hashem. How you going to get close to Hashem? You're lying? Who are you fooling over here? You're acting like you're some tzaddik. Suddenly you're doing some blessing. Suddenly you're doing some mitzvah. You know where you're really holding. This is all the Yetzirah. The reason why we feel so far from Hashem is because we feel like we have to be holding on a certain level. We don't realize that in this generation, Hashem is Hashem is so merciful, and He loves us so much. And the Zohar says that the neshamas that come down in this generation are the highest souls. None of the souls, even in the time of the Gemara, 1,500 or more years ago, they said, if Mashiach is going to come in that generation that they saw in prophecy, let him come, and we don't want to see him. We do not want to be in that generation. They didn't want to go through that test. And the Zohar says that our souls said, no, Yeitev Achmina. Let him come, and we want to be here. Why? Because only the highest souls said that they're willing to come down here, even though they're going to end up the way they're going to end up, and that their Shmona Esrei that they daven, when they're davening before God, maybe only 5 or 10 words that they say throughout the whole prayer, they actually thought of what they're saying. The rest of the time they were in their business and wherever they were. But those few words before God are the highest type of avodah. Rav Gudlevsky says, I was listening to a tape of Rav Gudlevsky, he says that the type of work, service that the Yidden are giving Hashem, the Jews are giving Hashem in this generation, is a type of work that hasn't come up before God since the beginning of creation up until today. God had many, many righteous people, many tzaddikim that served Him and did the highest avodas and fasted and rolled in snow and did all kinds of crazy things in order to attain spiritual and purification, spiritual high levels, and studied Torah day and night and so on. Fasted, didn't eat food or drink from Shabbos to Shabbos for a whole week straight and so on, just to fix their, to break. Not to break, but to subdue the physical body in order to be able to attain these high spiritual levels, right? So that type of work God already received from many, many people, many tzaddikim, thousands of people before us. And so Rav Gudlevsky was saying that in our generation, we're basically in a state of complete yush. We've in a way we've completely given up, which means, because we know what high level all these people were on, and we've studied, all these tzaddikim, Baal Shem Tov, Arizal, Reb Nachman, Lubavitcher Rebbe, Tanaim, Emorai, Moshe Rabbeinu, all these great tzaddikim, what high levels they were on, and what types of difficult works they did and things they did to get close to God, right? So we feel like, where am I compared to that? So we feel like, okay, even if I do get, a little portion in the next world, it's definitely going to be like a tiny little, little nothing maybe. If I'm lucky, I'll get a little something. And when it comes to this world, So at least them back then, the people who served God and learned Torah day and night and were on these levels. So when they davened, when they stood before Hashem and prayed, or when they learned Torah, they were really feeling sweetness. Like the tzaddikim, even the previous generations, not very far back, would like daven Shmona Esrei and would be on fire. They would be like crying during the davening. They would get up midnight and do tikkun chatzot and cry for the destruction of the temple, and like they had such sweetness, not cry of sadness, but cry of just yearning and dveikut to Hashem. In our generation, everybody's so like lost and confused, and people, so many people are on like medication of depression, and people are like suffering, even though we have so much good. But on the other hand, because our mind is so separated, disconnected, and so like confused and jumping from thought to thought, and like we can't focus on anything, especially not on spirituality. Even in physicality, people are all confused, but especially when it comes to spirituality, a person tries to daven Shemona Esrei, it's a few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes to think, just have, keep your mind on track and not go off track. You just can't hold your mind. So even in this world, people are suffering. I mean, even in a physical manner, people are suffering over here. They have so much comfort when it comes to physicality, but people, because of their mind, that unsettlement of the mind, the thoughts jumping from thought to thought, like non-stop, it gives this unsettlement. So a person suffers in this world. He goes through anxiety and sadness, depression, and so on. So we're in such a state where we're like in complete yush, we've given up. Like we feel like when it comes to the next world, we definitely don't have a share, and if we do, it's a tiny little portion, after we're definitely going to get like punished for all the things that we didn't do right? So we don't have really much hope in what's gonna be, and we're suffering also in the physical world down here. So what does that mean? That means that when I'm serving Hashem, whatever it is, no matter what level I'm holding on, when I just say a bracha, when I put on tefillin, when I, shake the lulav, when I fast on Yom Kippur, I light my menorah, any little thing that I do, I'm not doing it because, I'm going to get a huge portion in the next world, Yeah, now I'm a tzaddik, I'm on a high level, and I'm not doing it because I feel like, this is going to make my life down here on earth so much better, and I'm going to be so happy. So we're doing it completely and purely for the sake of Hashem, which means that type of work, right, that type of service of God never came up, never went up to heaven since the beginning of creation. Of these people that are in this generation, that they don't feel like they deserve anything in the next world, and they're not getting any pleasure out of the work that they're doing, the spiritual work or physical work that they're doing down here. And they're still serving Hashem. They're still grabbing whatever good they can do, any little good deed, another parak of Tehillim, another mitzvah of helping someone, anything that they do, right? These little things. So Rav Gudlevsky says that this type of avodah never came up before Hashem, and the nachat ruach, the pleasure that God gets from this type of work from every yid, right? So that for this reason, a person needs to remember that, and remember that no matter where he's holding spiritually, he can always connect to Hashem. He can always serve Hashem. Hashem is waiting for that work. Hashem wasn't expecting us to be that big tzaddik and finish the whole shas and learn Torah day and night and be like those. That Hashem got, thank God, He got plenty of that, in all the previous generations. In this generation, what God wants, He wants the service from those who have given up and feel like they're not worthy for nothing. They're suffering in this world, and they definitely don't have a portion in the next world. And in between, he's quickly grabbing a little thing. He's doing a good deed. He's doing another mitzvah. He ran to Mashlim a minyan. These little nekudot that a person is doing is what's giving Hashem the nachat ruach. That we're in the darkest place, and we're still trying to get close to Hashem. So basically, the point that I'm trying to say is that every single person, no matter what level he is, no matter where he's holding spiritually, can serve Hashem, regardless to what level he's on. It has nothing to do with where you're holding and what you've learned and what you know, what you did in the past, or what you feel like you're going to do in the future, because you just don't have you're not on the level where you're going to overcome those certain, taivas, lusts, or things that you have that you've been doing for years and you just can't overcome it. And because of that, you feel like you just You don't have a way to get close to Hashem. There's no, Hashem doesn't want me. I'm not worthy. No, it's the exact opposite. Hashem is waiting when Hashem, like it says in the Zohar Kadosh, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar says in the Kabbalah that that when Yitro came, Choten Moshe Rabbeinu's father-in-law, when he came and he decided, and said, now I know that Hashem is greater, that God is greater than all the different idol worships, all the gods that I thought, because he worked all the different gods. So the Zohar says, when Yitro came before Hashem and converted, God never received that type of kavod, never came up before heaven, that type of respect that came to Hashem, that kavod that Hashem got when Yitro. So Rabbeinu teaches from that when a person who's so far away, when he does a little deed, he does something to get close to the holiness, to get close to Hashem, no matter where he is holding it, regardless, right? It's right now, it's my moment right now. If right now I have a moment where I have an itarut, where I could do something good now, so you do it, you grab it, right? Because it's just the moment, right? That blink of the eye that we have in time. There's the past is gone and the future didn't come yet, right? It's just that little moment that I have. That's what counts, right? That's what is the existence right now. Nothing else exists, which means if right now I have an awakening, I have some sort of chukka to do something good, you do it, you grab it, regardless to what's gonna be or what was. And that's the true way of serving Hashem, to always renew yourself and realize that renewing has nothing to do with your past, to disconnect it from your past and from everything you did, and disconnect all those thoughts that the Yetzer Hara makes you think that, no, you're not wanted, Hashem doesn't want you, and so on. Everybody has their whole list of reasons why they're far away from Hashem. To remember that you can get close to Hashem at every moment, and the gateways are open to get close to Hashem at every single moment, regardless to what you did or what you feel like you're going to continue doing in the future. Anyhow, we should take that Eitzah of Reb Nachman, that in my opinion is one of the highest and greatest Eitzahs, because it gives every person, no matter what level they're on, an ability to just get close to Hashem and to do another good thing, do another mitzvah, do something good. Whether you're going to become religious, not going to become religious, start keeping Shabbos, not keep Shabbos, continue driving your car, not on Shabbos, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. Yeah, it would be awesome if everybody kept every law in the Torah, but it doesn't mean that if I don't keep everything, I'm out of the picture. I can keep whatever I keep, right? God knows better than anybody my Yetzer Hara, my evil inclination, my drive to things, what family I grew up in, what friends I had. Hashem knows better than everybody exactly. It says not to judge your friend till you're in his shoes. So you can't judge someone till you're in their shoes, right? So who could judge someone? Hashem could judge someone. Why? Because he's in your shoes, so he knows exactly what you're going through and what you went through and what you did. And based on all of that, he's not expecting from you now to suddenly flip 180 degrees and become a different person. He's expecting a tiny little thing. This little thing you could do, that little thing you could do. Okay, so do those little things. They say that when a person goes up to the next world, they ask him, okay, so why didn't you do, this mitzvah, like getting up at midnight and crying for the destruction of the temple, like it says you should, and so on, all these things. And every person's going to say, oh, well, I had this, excuse and that excuse, all these different things. So Rav Nachman says that sometimes it could be a person really has an excuse. He had like some physical disability. He really couldn't do a certain thing. So they're going to look into his thing. Oh, right, you're right. You couldn't do it. So the thing that they're gonna ask you is, okay, you couldn't physically do it, but why didn't you yearn for it? Why didn't you want it? Yeah, you couldn't physically do that thing. You weren't, you just weren't in that place in life that you can actually do what you needed to do. But why didn't you at least yearn for it? So this is even a deeper level, which means not even doing that tiny little thing, but just yearning for it. Okay, so I'm not keeping that thing that I know I should be keeping, whether it's kashrut or Shabbos or whatever. But I could yearn for it, right? And Rav Nachman teaches that the yearning for something, the wanting, just the wanting to do something good, because it's the right thing, but you just can't do it because you're far from that right now. Just the wanting itself is a huge, huge, huge thing. So when you go up to the heavenly court after 120 years, they're going to ask you, okay, why didn't you want it? Okay, you couldn't do it, but why didn't you want it? Right? So just the wanting of it. So that in itself is a whole type of, service of Hashem, which is the level of wanting. If a person's in captivity, he's in jail, right? And he's in, let's say they have the toilet, he's inside the cell, right? So he can't daven, he can't put on tefillin, he can't even think or speak Torah, right? It's a dirty place. But he could yearn. He could just yearn to God. I want to get close to an inner deep scream, yearning from within his heart. That you can always do. So same thing in down here on earth, right? A person could be in that captivity, could be in jail, in whatever, every person's has his own little captivity. But to yearn and to want to get close and to want the highest things, that nobody could ever take away from you. That's the highest level, the 50th gateway. Anyhow, good Shabbos.